bi ak side table ba yëpp wala ñu win nag ma ne toogu yoo xam ne yi toogu yu baax yu óor yu dëgër pour saal bi moom la ñoo win billahi Gamcel defati na ko Gamcel defati na ko Gamcel nee na rek billahi Gamcel defati na ko kër la ñuy joxe xool rek dara si rek nga xoos dugal ci sa biir mobile wax ci ko soxla ba pare win ci kër tey waay Gamcel defati na ko waay Gamcel defati na ko waay ma ne kër la ñuy joxe kër ak ay bedroom set ak ay sofa yoo xam ne yi kenn mënu la ko wax ci taaru ci rafet tey Gamcel.
Welcome back. The two presidential hopefuls in Senegal, the incumbent Abdoulaye Wade and Macky Sall, have taken their intense vote-garnering battle to the strategic city of Thiès. The city is the stomping ground of former Wade Prime Minister Idrissa Seck, who is now backing the candidature of Sall. At a mass political rally in the city, the incumbent wasted little time to lash out at his opponents. The city of Thiès has a staggering 270,000 registered voters, making it a crucial decider in the last lap of the race. We have details in this report.
The city of Thiès, some 70 kilometers east of Dakar, has become the scene of a major electoral battle between Abdoulaye Wade and Macky Sall. This is the stronghold of Wade's former Prime Minister Idrissa Seck, who was forced to drop out of the race after a poor showing in the first round. Happy with the strong turnout, Wade was quick to criticize Macky Sall, leading up to the face-off on March 25th. He is like a witch doctor. He does not realize the cost of all this, and he makes mistakes. At the Place de France Square, Abdoulaye Wade tried to win over the supporters of Idrissa Seck, who are backing Macky Sall. Several hours earlier at the same square, Macky Sall and local opposition leaders, including Idrissa Seck, had rallied the troops. Sall said he will not let them down. Thiès has just proven that Senegal is united, and I am aware of my responsibility here. Wade was promising to make Thiès the second capital of Senegal, but Macky Sall promised to solve the problems of youth unemployment. Young people are a sizable percentage of the 270,000 registered voters here.
After watching members of the Malian army go on rampage during the early hours of the coup that toppled the civilian government of Ahmadou Toumani Touré, coup leader Captain Ahmadou Haya Sanogo has been making efforts to curtail the damage done to the image of the army. Meanwhile, a number of prominent politicians in the West African country have condemned the coup, calling on the coup leaders to relinquish power and make an immediate return to the barracks. For more on that story, we turn to the CFR report.
The situation remains unclear in Mali 3 days after the putsch against President Amadou Toumani Touré. The soldiers backing the putsch are trying to control the situation in the streets of Bamako, where pillaging appears to be the order of the day. Putsch leader Captain Sanogo was critical of the pillaging and vandalism and called on civil society leaders to join the National Unity Committee. We want reforms, and those who also want this can count on us. The various branches of our civil society can be counted on. We must sit down and talk. With him were men from all different services of the military, and he said that the military remains united, but he has not been followed by the important politicians in Mali. Most of them have condemned the coup d'etat. Constitutional order must be re-established. The election schedule must be maintained and the date kept the same. Only the opposition party Sadi, led by Omar Mariko, praised and justified the putsch. When misery is everywhere, there must be a solution. The putsch leaders are also isolated outside the country. The African Union has suspended Mali. The Union and ECOWAS are preparing a mission to Bamako. The whereabouts of President Touré are unknown.
We have been told that the president is safe, protected by a certain number of loyalists. Correct? Loyalists? Loyalists.
The indirect cause of the coup d'etat, the rebel Tuaregs in the north. Their leaders in Nouakchott announced that they are ready to negotiate. Their goal is the taking of the Azawad region, nothing more.
Thousands of protesters, mainly African Americans, are calling for the opening of investigation into the shooting death of Trayvon Martin, a young African American by a white Hispanic volunteer guard. The man says he shot the teenager who was unarmed at the time in self-defense. Speaking at the White House, President Obama weighed in on the issue, calling for the matter to be looked into seriously. Let's look at this report for more on that.
The case has shaken America to its core. On February 26, Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old black boy, was shot and killed in Florida by George Zimmerman, a 28-year-old white man of Hispanic origin. The teenager had just bought himself some sweets. It was raining. He put on his hood. Zimmerman, a volunteer guard on a neighborhood watch, decided to follow the boy. He called 911.
He's got his hand in his waistband. He's a black male.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Yeah.
But Zimmerman did and fired. The neighbors called the police. There are many volunteer neighborhood watch guards in the state of Florida. The state's law, called Stand Your Ground, authorizes a citizen to shoot at anyone if they feel threatened. It is this law that has so far protected George Zimmerman, who was released by the police when he said he acted in self-defense. But the fact is that young Trayvon was unarmed. The parents of the young victim are now fighting for justice.
They're treating this as my son is the perp. My son's the victim here. There's no reason why he should have been in that situation. No reason whatsoever.
Thousands of people have taken to the streets throughout the country in support of Trayvon's family and to denounce a crime that was allegedly based on racial discrimination. President Barack Obama himself stepped into the emotional storm.
You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. I think they are right to expect that all of us as Americans are going to take this with the seriousness it deserves, and that we're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
Protesters claim that Trayvon's killing is just the last example of racial profiling and unjust treatment of blacks. The case will be presented before a grand jury in Florida next month.
Well, it's now time for a look at the weather report by the Central Focus Office.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects, in know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to the weather segment. As usual, we begin with the summary followed by the forecast. We experience a warm and sunny afternoon across the country, and for the forecast tonight, we'll be expecting a cool, dry and breezy atmosphere to prevail over the entire country onwards morning, whilst the day tomorrow will be mainly warm and sunny. Light to moderate northwesterlies will continue to flow across the country. And for the minimum temperatures, we'll be expecting them to range from 19 to 20 degrees Celsius across the country, while for the top temperatures, we'll be expecting them to range from 30 to 38 degrees Celsius across the country. For those going to sea, we'll be expecting a low tide of 0.23 meters at 5:15 a.m. and also 0.30 meters at 5:31 p.m. For the high tides, we'll be expecting 1.65 meters at 11:38 a.m. and also 1.62 meters at 11:45 p.m. For the wave height, they will vary between 2 to 3 meters high, and they will be mainly northerly swells. The sun will rise at 7:06 and will set at 19:18. Thanks for being a part of today's broadcast. We now take a look at the city forecast.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. The Health and Social Welfare Minister has presided over the official handing over and commissioning of a newly built clinic and laboratory facility